Okay guys, let's have a look, see what we can find.
Matron, take them away.
And a warm welcome to one and all. This is your first time here. I'm the big fella, the scruffy trader. And what I'm trying to do is put trading in the real world. Maybe show you a trick or two along the way. So if that sounds good and you find value in what I do hit the subscribe button. Genuinely helps. And we'll crack on. So what are we cracking on with? Well, it's been a weird couple of weeks. I'm currently renovating the house, which you'll see in some of the other videos, give a little snippets and sort of the wild things that we get up to. Well, more like instead of DIY, destroy it yourself, I think is what it should be. But I still need to pay for it all. So how do I do that? Well, I do it with my job. And my job, contrary to belief, is trading.
What?
And that's what we're going to do right now. So let me flick the screen on and we'll have a little look, shall we? So happy days, there we go. And there's the wild wonder walking by with, look, should be putting the kettle on just to make me sort of lubricated, because we all know Scruffy likes it coffee.
Yes, it's coffee time.
Let's get into this, shall we? Okay. What we're looking at here is euro dollar. And it's been picked up off this sheet. Okay. And what I'm looking at is the euro is kind of weaker than the US. And if you look in my rules, you'll see that my go-to markets are cable, euro, dollar for London. USJPY will be in the New York session, and then if I can't find any of them, I'll use whatever the market pick is, which is up here. Now, I also keep an eye on this, which is why you'll see the Aussie dollar there as well. And of these two, the better is the euro, which is why it's on here. And I do look at the DAX pretty much every day as well. It's kind of a go-to, but there's nothing for it. So as I was saying, the euro is slightly weaker than the US. Now, what this is trying to do is pick out movement rather than direction. Now, in the next section, change of strength, just to help me understand what's going on. Well, the euro is gaining ground and the US is losing ground. So that can tell me that there's a change on the horizon, a swap. Okay, so if it was pushing down, it can start to lift up. All right. Now from here, I do let the guys in the Discord see what I'm doing all the time. And they're on having like a little merry chat amongst themselves about various things, which is what they do. Come into here, they all greet each other, good morning, have a bit of a sing-song. But then they get into everything, you know, whatever it is that they want to discuss, whether it's back to basics, into Forex charts, rags and riches, whatever, pick each other up. But in here, where they do discuss what they're going on, in the Forex charts, the indices charts, I give them a heads up of what I'm doing because I think it's fair, and that's what this here is. So not only have they seen the bias and the strength sheet, which is there, I update this on the top of each hour so they can see whether I'm buying it, whether it's time to get ready, whether I'm going to take a big target, low target, that sort of thing. It's all here for them. But the movement of the market needs to be identified, and that's what this is. So I'll break down the chart and I'll tell them not only where I think it's going, but why I think it's going there as well. So it's a good thing, you know, me being accountable to the guys. So let's have a little look, see what we've got. If we pull this out to the daily, you'll see it's had a colossal run up and it's had a good push down, you know, solid move down. And it's now caught between these two zones. Now the next zone of attraction is the one above it. All right. And we've also got a plateau here where the price is stalled. So that's interesting. Now if we pull this down, we can start seeing it in bigger detail. Push up. Now for most people you would say, oh well, that's clearly a downward move. Yeah, I'll go with that. But it's also got plenty of waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're an Elliott wave trader and you sort of think, well, 1 wave, 2 wave, 3 wave, 4 wave, 5 wave, it could actually be at the end of its move and ready for a resurgence. Well, if it is, that would be a good amount of profit taking, which can take it back to this plateau. Simple stuff. All right, it's moving, big tail under here. Now what else can we see? Well, if we look at a weekly chart, well, this tells you a different story, because you can think the same braces, but it's actually going in an opposite direction. So the bigger trend is actually to the upper side, even though that looks like it's pushing down. So to me, the bigger trend is up, and we're really just in a pullback. So if we come back down into this, if that's the case, I want to see this push higher. All right, and this move up, it's come back down onto this flat point. There's movement to the upper side. Take it to 15 minutes. Sure enough, there's an area of attraction. It's come down to test. Big tails, big tails. Even with this pushing down, it's big tails. And then take it to 5 minutes. And then you've got my zones. It's found the zone. It's rejected that zone and it's pushing up. So we have a zone here we can play with, ideally running up to there throughout the day. So what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to put a set of staged orders running down to move back up with a bigger target of up here, but I'll be happy to get into this red zone. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll let it run out and then I'll just come back to you at the end. Okay guys, this is taking its time. However, on my other screen, the DAX is starting to look pretty darn good for the next hour or so. I'm just going to leave these here. I'm actually going to move them back slightly, just to the top of this zone, just to let it come down, test the zone, and then break back through. And I'm going to leave the targets here. Just there. Now, there's nothing running because I closed them out. They're the only tickets there. And we got 38 quid out of it. All right. Could be bad. But let's have a look at this here a second. Let's just clean this down slightly. Switch everything off. I like to look at a clean chart. If you look at a clean chart can tell you a lot. And if you start on the hour, just to get a vague idea of what's going on, what I'll do here is I'll show you how to lock the price. Right, straight away we can see there's a top point here. Now, if we pull this out to a weekly, we're at all-time top points. All right, in other words, it's never been here before. Now, if it's going to push higher, it's going to need a run. Now, it's had a run at it. It's stalled, and now it's coming back, ready for another run. Well, it's that coming back what we're interested in. Okay. So, just get a little sort of box and just mark it across the top. All right, just like so. Just put a black box there, grey box. All right. Why there? Well, it's very simple. We can see it's topped out. The candle came down, and that's the last body candle before the move. You can use this as well, but it's quite excessive. So that would be kind of your grey box. All right. But I like to look at the upper section, so I just draw it in like that. So I've got clean air to work with. Now, where did this accelerant start? Well, there's quite a few. It got from down here all the way up. Now, that's quite a ways to go. All right. But the last spurt has probably started here with this. So it came down, pushed, and away it went. So again, we're just going to draw a zone. It's not pip accurate or anything like that. It's just an area where the price is trapped. So there you are. You've got the price trapped between those 2 points. All right. How likely was it to turn there? Well, let's have a little look. There's the extension. That accelerated there, got as high as there, came back and across. Well, it stalled bang on that 127. But it's failed to get up here, creating this zone. All right. So if it's coming back into these areas, we do have an opportunity here to come back on itself. The question is, where will it come back? Well, we just put a fib on it. We can see an accelerated move, and we can see deep down where it came from. Okay, push that out. You can see there's a big plateau here. Then a screen and a stall. Right, okay. So if we assume that it's starting here and it got up as high as there, we now have areas of attraction. And this is a very simple way of doing things, guys. A very, very simple way. And everything I do is kind of based on fibs and maths and various other bits and pieces. All right. Now just created entry exits. Quite a lot of them. These can be good target areas. Take it to 15 minutes. What can we see? All right. There's the last drive. Okay. Pull down, push up. It's rejecting the 50. There's our entry on the 38. It's coming in right now. So what we're going to do, we're going to put a series of orders in here. All right, I'm going to put it on that line, and we're going to look to target various different points. So we're going to drop the next one in. Now this one, again, because I've got a meeting later on, so I want this to self-manage. So I'm just going to drop in a few orders. Right, okay. So there's a few orders. So I've got one there, here. There's one on there, and I'm just going to let that one run down to about 50 pips. See where the structure is. There it is. So slightly out. So about there. All right. Now, what's one of the good things about this? You know, if I take that away, I've set a line in the sand. Don't really want it to come past this point, but I want to target down into here. If I'm monitoring this on 5 minutes, you can now see that rollover. Very structured. And the whole thing is structured. We can see it. All right. So what am I prepared to do with this? Well, let's push this out to the hour. I'm prepared to stage to this point here, all the way up, and it'll just basically get a better price, and then come down, and then we're going to stage back into the profit going the other way, and that's it. It's just working the charts, you know, very, very simple way to do things. Now, I can follow the price, which is what I'm going to do, because if I do a candle count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that was the logical point. Simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this one out and see how we get on with this. All right, and like I say, I'll stage it up to this area. Simple. Right, let's let it crack on. Okay guys, I need the camera for a meeting. I'm going to have it for a couple of hours. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this in the wings, and you can see the setup. It's all nicely staged out to make some money. We've made money off the euro, could be better. And I dropped a bit of a clanger because I pulled out of it earlier than I should, because it did the full analysis to what I thought. And well, it's Monday morning. I don't like trading Monday morning, so I'm always conservative. But this may well come back to around this area, this structure point here. Why here? Well, you can see it's the start of the flush, but it's the top of that which runs into the base of this, and you've got an accelerant here, a power shift. So this could push back down to here and then bounce back up, but we'll kind of see it. But in the meantime, we have this little bad boy here. Now, if I just have a little look, you can see it's come down, but it's now showing signs for an upward move. Now, drop it to the hourly, and you can kind of see that. You know, it's had a bit of a collapse, it's pushed, it's stalled on this point, but there's still a reasonable amount of pressure here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little trade into this one, because I think that's going to come back on itself and then surge up somewhat. So what I'll do, I'll just drop a fib and I'll highlight where we're going to mark this out, and I'm going to put an order on the 38, the 50 and the 61. So if you bear with me, I'll do that now. I'm not breaking these trades up too much. So these will go in at a $5 each. Let me just drop that in. So there's one there. And what we're going to do is we're going to set this at about 10 pips from that point. But I'm going to have them all come to here. So what I'm doing here is I'm staging it backwards to capitalize on the movement. Now I may even put one on the 23 as well. But we'll just look at that in just a second, because I think it has more sign. No, probably not. Okay. And then we're going to put one underneath. Drop that in the same place. Okay. So what's the plan with this? Well, this is just to let it come down, pick the orders up, and then go back. But each one of these, because the stage backwards has a little bit further, it'll give a little bit extra money. Now, the DAX is kind of looking after itself. We've got this. And I'm humming and hawing as to whether or not to put one here as well as a small order. Should I or shouldn't I? No, I'll leave it. Okay, guys. So the premise of the trade is set up. We're ready to rock and roll. And that's it. I'll just let it get on with it. I'll come back to you at the end and I'll be able to tell you whether it's good, bad or indifferent. Catch you soon.
Well, we're waiting.
Okay, guys, it's kind of the job done. A little bit of set and forget, a bit of management, and let's see how well we've done. So we've got nothing running, tickets are now burnt out, and 314 quid from 10 o'clock this morning. It's now currently 2:30. I could start looking to go back to market if I want, but I don't want. Why would I? The markets have done exactly what I want. This is pushed down. The new open's coming in, which is causing the surge up, as we can see. But if we look at this structure, what we were making out, it's actually come down into exactly where the first point is, here. Now, this can have a little push back up. Where will it push back up to? Well, it's very simple. If you took a fib on that, just from there to there, there's your 50%, which is here. And look at how well that 50% is against the market. Well, what do we find? Well, you've got a little bit of a stall here, which that 50 is found. Run it to the left, stall, stall. So the market can always tell you what it wants. Now, if I'm going to re-enter this market, I'll be letting this relax up to in and around this area to then come back down to here. Common sense. Now, the moral of the story today, and what you see in virtually all my videos, because I do this every day, I go to the market, I read it, I do it, I get paid, and then I stop. But the key area there is I stop. I have one direction, just one. That halves the risk, if you want to call it risk, because it means I'm only looking for one set of criteria. You see anybody going both ways, they're not reading the market, they're gambling on the market. I'll tell you for why. The market has a dominant direction each day, and that dominant direction also comes from a higher time frame. So you can have a very deep trend, and you can have today's trend. Now, those two can be in confliction. If they are, be careful with your targets. If they're running together, go with it. Fantastic. But if you're trying to go both directions in the same day, the chances of you getting caught increase substantially. And that increase is gambling. Our job is to get into the markets as cleanly and as safely as possible. Do we get in early? Of course we do. I get messages every day about FOMO, fear of missing out. It's probably the number one. And what happens is you normally jump in probably at the top of the market when you should be sort of waiting. But if you stage it backwards, well, that alleviates that problem. And so does getting the direction right. You get the direction right, it'll forgive a bad entry. You get the direction wrong because you're going both ways, and you are wrong. You won't only not forgive it, you'll become bloody vicious against it. And any gains you've made, the market will take it back. And a lot of the time, it takes back more than you gave. So be very careful of sort of trying to go both ways and showboating. I can do it from time to time, but it's not something I would recommend at all. And that's coming from years of experience. You know, it's very easy to have a couple of months good run. Very easy. You know, we've been in a big bull run recently. You know, very simple. Shooting fish in a barrel. And that bull run's been running since November. Now it's starting to have a bit of a worry. You know, why? Because it's pushed to the highs. And when it's pushing at the highs, it needs to run the other way. And if it's running the other way, right, fine. Let it do its thing. But be careful. And that's it. So, moral of the story, one direction, one plan, sensible targets. Yes, did a little bit of showboating today by opening multiple markets, but that was because it was valid. In other words, I could see what it was that I was after, but I was really only trading one at a time. Euro was finished, started the DAX, was risk-free, started the Aussie because there was no sort of way I could lose any money. Not really. I had enough bank that I could cover it. And that was that. So there we go, guys. Set and forget. Going to go do a bit more work on the house. Do it all again tomorrow. So as always, guys, trade well, keep your risk managed, but above all, do what you love, and the money will follow. See you all in the next one.